This is the Core X laptop from Chuwi. It's a very, very thin ultrabook style laptop, kind of MacBook Air in terms of design. You know, it's going to be a true ultrabook laptop. Here's a look at some specs based on the Chuwi website. Here you can see the screen here is a 14-inch 2160 by 1440 resolution screen. It has a really nice 3:2 aspect ratio, which I'm a pretty big fan of here. Importantly, it's 100% sRGB color gamut screen, so it's going to be a nice aspect ratio, nice fine resolution, and a really bright screen. For the model that I have here, which has a 8GB RAM and 512GB SSD with the 1215U. They also have the 16GB with the 1235U. All right, and here is the Chuwi laptop. Metal lid, metal bottom, all metal there. Nice and light, nice and thin, and the inside's metal. Let's check the weight to start here. You know, it should be fairly light, but again, it's not just an ultrabook. It's actually an ultrabook that has an all metal chassis, so it should have some weight to it, to be honest. I don't expect it to weigh nothing whatsoever. Let's see though. So 1258 grams. That's a little bit under 3 pounds. That's good. So slightly under 3 pounds for an all metal ultrabook. So let's add in the charger. It's not a very heavy charger. Yeah, 227 grams. So let's have a look at the ports on the laptop here. So on the left side, we have a power in. It's a barrel style power. See that there? USB-C right there. And then on the right side, we have a USB-A, headphone, and micro SD card. USB-A should not be phased out yet. It is still a relevant port, and a lot of different devices use it. USB dongles, you know, if you're just using a USB key, you know, lots of different USB devices still use USB-A, and because the power is a separate here, you're not going to be using those up. So that's actually pretty decent for an ultrabook here. Nice metal keyboard deck there, so you're not going to get, you know, too much flex or anything when you sit your hands on it. Nice and sturdy metal. This is nice there, same kind of color. Pretty simplistic here, not a lot of like crap all over it. It's kind of like a MacBook, I guess. It doesn't have crap all over it. Webcam up top, obviously. So a nice little, kind of looks like a MacBook, to be honest. This is just Windows bloat. Minecraft education, I guess that comes with, I guess that's owned by Microsoft now. Get that out of here. Yeah, this looks very, very clean, to be honest. Yeah, this is like as stock as it possibly comes, which is good. That's a good thing. That's good overall. Let's have a look at the keyboard here now. Keyboard on this here, pretty standard layout. You know, there's nothing weird about it. No switched any keys or anything like that there. Yep, the spacing is good, right? It's got a little bit of spacing. They actually have, it has fairly tall keys for an ultrabook. You can see there, I'll push down, you can see underneath how large the physical keycap is. It's actually pretty big. A lot of times these ultrabooks have like super low profile keys, so they're like tiny little things. This here actually has fairly large keycaps and decent travel. And the actual size of the keyboard is quite large. It's basically, you know, the laptop isn't big, but they took up as much as they possibly could. They didn't put weird speaker grill type things here. They took that keyboard right to the edge there so that it's a full-size keyboard and nice natural typing. In terms of layout, the spacing between the keys looks good too. So let's give this a quick type here. Fantastic. Yep, I've used better keyboards. I've used a lot worse keyboards. This is going to be in the higher tier, I would say. This is a very good keyboard, actually. Nice and snappy. Considering the size of the laptop, right? We'll zoom out here. Nice big trackpad on it as well. It's not like, this is not hyper smooth, but it is smooth. Same with this, it's not a super smooth texture, but it feels smooth enough and it's nice and precise. Yeah, feels great. No issues. Let's feel the click. Ooh, that's a nice sharp click. Oh yeah, I actually like that. I like the like sharp click. Some people might not like that. They like the like gummy. I don't like that. I like a tactile click. Okay, turn it up. So the speakers are coming out of the bottom, 1 and 2. They're actually positioned forward, so the audio is bouncing off the table and coming right into my ears. It's actually pretty nice. Again, not going to have the bass of a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Air. It's just We're not in that territory of like a $2,500 laptop, but it's pretty darn good. It's a high resolution screen here. It's kind of weird, 2160 by 1440. Basically, it's a 1440p screen, but rather than being 2560, you know, it's way bigger over here and being 16 by 9, this is not a 16 by 9 screen. So you get more height on it, which I love. I don't like 16 by 9 screens unless it's a very large, like a TV or something. I like the more height here. So this has a little bit more height because it's 2160. Now, it's very bright too. I don't have a brightness meter, but it's nice and bright. This room that I'm in is extremely bright right now, and I'm seeing a ton of light coming into it. Actually, the screen is so bright that the outside of my video looks dark, and that's usually what happens when the screen is bright. It dims the outside. So that's pretty telling. If you're ever watching my videos and the outside gets dark, that means the screen is actually pretty bright. They claim good color space. You can see the reflectivity of me right there. I like glossy screens. Some people don't like glossy screens. It drives them crazy. I guess maybe if you're like, you work in an office and for some reason you have a light right behind you, that might bother you. But the advantage for me of glossy screens, the colors really pop off the screen. So you can take even like a mediocre screen, make it glossy and it'll look a little better. So we'll come in here, we'll look at the Samsung video here. Colors looking pretty good. Nice and vibrant reds there. That's looking good so far. I like that. Reds are usually a weak spot. When I get a kind of a mediocre or crappy screen, even a mediocre screen, the reds are like orange basically, and they don't pop. It actually looks slightly better in person, more reddish. It looks actually a little orange on camera, but it looks quite nice. Yeah, red's looking good. Blacks look really good. There's no way I can show that on camera. Those are really good blacks, actually. Wow. Zero IPS bleed there. Like, yeah, it's not an OLED. But it's damn good. Man, that's a really good screen here. The colors are good too. It's not, 100% DCI-P or Adobe, but it is 99% sRGB. So it is a fantastic screen in terms of color space. Yeah, look at that. That's a nice ass screen. I don't know what panel they're using or who they sourced it from, but they did a really good job on this screen here. They did not skimp. Another nice thing about this laptop, like I kind of alluded to with the resolution, 16 by 9 would be like this height here. It works on a really big laptop or like a screen, like a TV, because you get, no black bars, but it kind of sucks on a small laptop, especially if you're going to do professional work. 16 by 10 is also really good. You get a lot more height up like this. So you go from 16 by 9 to 16 by 10. So you actually get higher height even more so. And it really is fantastic on a smaller laptop. If the laptop's huge, it doesn't matter because the screen is just huge anyways. But when you're getting into a smaller laptop, 13 or 14 inch, it does add a lot to it. So, 60 hertz refresh rate, not a gaming laptop. So, that's fine, I guess. I'd prefer more, but it doesn't really matter to me. For battery life, it's better to have 60 hertz anyways. But the rest of this is fantastic. This is, again, they're kind of embarrassing some of these gigantic OEMs because this screen is very nice. It looks quite nice. It's very vibrant. Brightness is there. It's just a really, really nice screen overall. Okay, time to get inside the laptop. First things first, there's this little compartment here, which I think is to add an SSD. Bang. That is freaking cool. So let's go get an SSD. Okay, so I'm just going to pop in this SSD to start here. I'm going to do a full teardown, but I just want to test this first. This is an ingenious idea here. I guess one thing is it doesn't have a... a lot of times you have to take down the whole laptop. Some laptops are easy to open, some aren't, but some people don't feel comfortable opening laptops. I'd say actually most people don't feel comfortable opening up their laptop. They just do a basic SSD upgrade, right? So you open this up here, pop in your SSD, and you're ready to rumble, right? Isn't that fantastic that you can just do that? This is so cool, and it reminds me of kind of old school laptops from from the late 90s, early 2000s. The fact that they're making it just so easy to upgrade this laptop, it's just really, really smart. And it looks like it has a little heatsink on it there too. This is metal, so that's going to be heatsink, and then it's going to basically take heat off into that right there. So let's just close that up, not even put the screws in. Alrighty, moment of truth. Did the NVMe show up? Dun, da, 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 and it didn't. How freaking cool is that? Why are other companies not doing this? Like, is this company just like big brained? There's a look inside the lid. So obviously we have our little NVMe slot there. Heat sink, I guess that would be there. Thermal pad to get some stuff off. Pretty basic bottom. It's just a piece of metal, which will work as a heatsink, to be honest. And there's a look inside the laptop. It's not going to be anything out of the ordinary here. Let's have a look here. 46.2 watt hour battery. That's pretty good. For the CPU here, we should get good battery life. Interesting speakers there. It's like a dual 1, 2, 3, 4, like a quad speaker setup there. So, I mean, that's why the sound was pretty good, I suspect there. It did sound pretty good. Not a lot of motherboard over here. Pretty big fan, actually. The fact that this has a 1215U in it. They probably use the exact same fan for the higher end, the 15, the i5 as well. So, I mean, this i3 should be running pretty cool. You get a dual heat pipe setup, pretty big fan there, and you actually get nice dense fins there too. So this should run pretty cool. I mean, it shouldn't also be very noisy because you're going to be moving a decent amount of air with these fan here. It's a larger fan, evacuating a lot of heat with that dual heat pipe there. So I'm suspecting that it's going to actually run pretty cool and pretty quiet overall. And then you can see here we do have the NVMe. This is the one that came with it. It's a NetAC. Which is actually, I wouldn't say, a huge brand, but it's not like an off brand. It's not a random brand. You can get these on Amazon. A lot of people have reviewed these. I actually haven't used one before, but there's tons of reviews on Amazon that say they're good. So that's good. So there's my two NVMe side by side. RAM's not upgradable. So when you get this model from Chuwi, you're going to want to get the RAM that you want in your device here. So, just make sure you spec it out how you want. Here's the noise of the laptop doing some Cinebench. Almost silent overall. I just don't have a very quiet area that I'm filming in. This basically, the fans are on, but almost completely silent when recording. And here's a look at some benchmarks. This is in Cinebench on balance mode, and we can see here that we're getting pretty good scores. We're getting just shy of 5,000 on the multi-core scores. Temperatures are actually pretty low overall. You can see they got up max a little bit higher, but once the fans kicked in, they actually were quite cool in the 60s basically. And then I threw it into performance mode. Basically, you just hit function and spacebar, and then you can cycle through those modes. And then here, it does get a little bit warmer, but we are seeing considerably higher scores here, an extra 800 points here on the CPU, which is actually a pretty good score overall on the CPU. And that'll be the same when you get the i5 as well. Battery life is pretty good here too. So you can see here, I'm just looking at idle battery life here. It says 7 hours and 40 minutes. I think that's a little overestimation from Windows. But moving over to YouTube, wasn't a considerable drop in battery life either here. We can see here that it's still giving us a pretty good battery life overall. I say that, when you're doing mixed tasks, this may drop down slightly, but you're still probably going to look at about 5 or 6 hours or so. Wi-Fi here is pretty quick too. Not anything, again, outstanding, but still pretty good overall. I only get about 600 megabytes a second downloads anyway, so we're getting pretty close to that. 400 megabytes a second is going to be nice and fast on that Wi-Fi. The SSD here, that NetAC, it's a Gen 3 SSD. You can see here, nothing, again, outstanding, but overall pretty good. 2,500 reads is definitely respectable. 1,800 writes is definitely respectable. Again, you can swap it out there, but you have that second SSD slot. You could easily just swap in a second SSD that if you need to get something that's going to be better for like video editing or something there. Okay, and here's a look at the webcam. Nothing special. It's a webcam. Going to be perfectly serviceable for meetings and that. It's not like a 1080p super bright or anything like that. It's not great overall, but for what you're going to use it for, it's going to be totally fine. I don't have good lighting. I have quite a bit in the front, like nothing behind. It's actually separating out the brightness behind decently well. So, yep, good for meetings. I mean, again, for a budget laptop like this, it's going to do what it's going to do. I think the Chuwi laptop here has made a pretty compelling case on why you should buy it. It's pretty nice overall. 14-inch laptop, which is a perfect size for a lot of people. All metal design is really nice, externally and internally as well. You get that metal keyboard deck here, which is really nice. I mean, you don't get any flex as a result when you're typing. Really nice. Great keyboard, good trackpad. Screen is outstanding, to be honest. It's a very, very nice screen. So the screen, I mean, is probably the most compelling part of this whole laptop. It's an absolute winner in my books. I think it looks fantastic. Fine resolution, nice aspect ratio, nice and bright, fantastic screen. And I think overall it's just a nice laptop. I mean, there's no real negatives to the laptop overall. I mean, get the amount of RAM that you want, and then you're pretty much good to go. Good screen, good keyboard, good trackpad. I/O's decent, nothing fantastic on the I/O, but I mean, it's an ultrabook, that's fine. Performance seems to be fine overall on that chip. I mean, all metal design and everything, and then you get that nice little second expansion there, so you get dual NVMe on this, easy to expand it. I think you're going to be happy with it because it's going to last you for a long time. The performance on the CPU is quite good. The screen is really nice. Overall, the design seems quite nice, and it's robust enough that I think it's going to last you physically for a long time. The performance is going to be there. It's just such a nice screen that it's not going to be something that you're going to want to necessarily get 8 gigabytes on. And then, in like a year or whatever, it's outdated when Microsoft just gets more and more bloated. So I think as it is exactly spec'd out here, it's fantastic for what it is, a media PC. I think that with the really nice screen here and all the benefits of the laptop, I think it does justify getting the laptop and potentially even speccing it up slightly to get the even better model, because overall, I think it's actually a really nice laptop. I had no idea what to expect when they sent this over. I've never reviewed one of their laptops. I've seen a couple reviews online. That's it. So, I basically was a blank slate when they sent this over to me, and I think it's actually a very nice laptop. They did a really good job with it. I don't see any issues with it whatsoever. I see a lot of compelling features as well with the keyboard and the screen especially, and the design and the all-metal chassis. I think those are a pretty big win in my book.